Hi, I'm Cole Tanner. Today I want to talk about elk hunting with your Ozonics. For me, my first Ozonics experience actually came on an elk hunt. I was a hunting guide in Southern Colorado, and Scott Elrod, the CEO of Ozonics, actually came on an elk hunt. And I was the guy that was going to be guiding him that week. He was pretty adamant from the first minute he got there that he wanted to be using these Ozonics units the entire time. This was pre the kinetic pack. He had rubberized like wire ties that he was trying to convince me to strap onto my backpack so we could run the units, wherever we went. And it was funny because I was kind of chuckling at him like, Scott, listen, I know guys that use these for whitetails and have great luck with them, but listen, elk are an entirely different animal. They've got bigger eyes, bigger ears, bigger nose. Like it's just not going to work on these elk. And over the next 5 days, he flipped my world inside out. I watched and was in scenarios and situations that were 100% because of the ozonics. It never would have happened without the unit. And for me, the light bulb really went on, of what this could lead to for me as a hunting guide. My job as a guide was always to try to get a client an opportunity. It wasn't always about success, it was about opportunity. And for me, I knew and then move forward with using ozonics to help create more opportunity for my clients. Now all these years later, this has evolved into an entire scent elimination system that can be used in every aspect of your hunt. It has evolved into something that can give you an advantage and can create opportunity within a lot of different hunting techniques when you're elk hunting. There are three major techniques I think that we all use when we're elk hunting, and in no particular order, but first, we're calling bulls in, right? Second, we look at spot and stalking. And then third, hunting in a tree stand or a ground blind over a water hole or some sort of food source. When it comes to these different techniques, I want to make sure that we understand how an ozonics can be used in these situations and also how it can benefit you. So let's talk through the first technique, that being calling. I think when it comes to elk, just like whitetails or coyotes or anything else, when we start trying to communicate and call at them and interact with them, when they come in, they're instinctively going to walk in, then they are going to circle downwind. They want to be able to smell what they are hearing or what they're seeing, right? And so again, it kind of goes without saying, if you're hunting by yourself, you're going to try to set up in a way so that when you call, you might move a bit so that when that wherever you were calling from, that elk circles downwind of where that call was. If you're hunting with another person, you position yourself accordingly. But one thing that you can definitely count on with elk hunting is you hope for the best and you plan for the worst. Usually things don't work out when you're trying to call bulls in. And so that's the interesting thing. That's where an ozonics can really shine. When you start putting that ozonics in the kinetic pack, it can be there every step of the way. It's not like in a tree stand where you've got it set up, and if you move over here, then it's not helping you at all. Wherever you go, that ozonics is right there with you. And when that animal gets on the downwind side, that's where an ozonics can help eliminate that odor. It can give you that advantage. It could give you that 10 steps, 10 seconds, 10 feet, where you can just get that shot off. Because again, those animals are going to come in and then they're going to circle downwind. And when they get on that downwind side, we all know what happens. And that ozonics can help eliminate that odor. Next, let's talk through spotting and stalking. The application of your ozonics is much like calling. You need to have that ozonics running on that kinetic pack. Again, wherever you're moving and wherever you're going, that ozonics can be there to help eliminate your odor. When we are spotting and stalking, obviously we're trying to the best we can get the wind in our face, but it doesn't always work out that way. When you're on the side of a mountain, wherever you might be, there's thermals, the wind can switch, the wind can swirl. And again, a lot like whitetails, we might not be worried about just the one, we're worried about them all. There's usually going to be, especially during the rut elk hunting, there's going to be just more than one nose that you're trying to get past. And again, so wherever you're going and whatever the situation, how that plays out, that ozonics can be there to help eliminate that odor.
Coming upwind, up the canyon, going down the canyon, and he don't know where.
The last technique I want to talk about is sitting in a tree stand or a blind over a water hole or some sort of food source. You know, Sitting in a tree stand is something that we're all, pretty familiar with. The big difference about when you're elk hunting in a tree stand or a blind is most of us are used to having a prevailing wind. I can look at my phone and say, okay, today's going to be an east wind. But when you're elk hunting, there's a whole different factor at work, and that can be the thermals. You know, what the thermals can do is it can make a spot that was perfect in the morning be completely wrong by 11 o'clock. And that's where an ozonics can become such a powerful tool because it can be there to help eliminate that odor. When you've got that unit above your head or out that window in a blind, you can reposition it to get it in that downwind side when that wind switches. So all of a sudden, the day isn't just completely shot. You can reposition it and be ready to go. So there's one question that you have to ask yourself that needs to be applied to these hunting techniques, and that is, do you or don't you have electricity? If you're in a situation that you do have electricity, great. Have that ozonics running all the time. Have it in that kinetic pack for when you're calling and when you're spotting and stalking. Have it running in that tree stand of the blind all the time. But if you're in a situation where you don't have electricity and charging batteries and the amount of runtime you have is more of an issue, then it's really about quality rather than quantity. So again, in a calling scenario, you might not have that unit running the entire time you're hoofing it up the hill, but when you get that bull responding back and you know that it's go time, get that unit on and get it ready to go. If you're spotting and stalking, you might not have it on when you're rallying around, but when you know you're closing that gap, get that unit on and get ready to go. If you're in a tree stand or a blind, it's always tough because an elk can come in on something like a water hole at any time of day. There's not a set time that they come in, but I will say that make sure you try to have that unit running in the morning and have it running towards the end of the day. We know in the morning, the afternoons, the thermals are switching and it can get really tricky. Those winds can really be swirling. And so, again, when you don't have electricity and charging is an issue, you just really have to try to pick your battles and try to maximize the runtime that you have. The other thing that we work through with a lot of people that are talking and asking us questions about elk hunting with their ozonics is size and weight. And I'll be the first to tell you, when I first started using ozonics, I was on the same Charlie. I'm like, golly, it's another thing that I have to carry. But I'll tell you what, my experience, if this thing weighed 50 pounds, only lasted a year and cost $1,000, put the extra 50 pounds on my pack. I think back on my own DIY elk hunts. I'm from Iowa, so Colorado or Idaho, it's New Mexico. It's just not, down the street. It's a drive. I've got a lot of money wrapped up into transportation. I've got a lot of money wrapped up into tags and licenses. And I think when we start, hunting elk during the rut, those bulls come in and they circle downwind. They are going to try to win us. That is their MO. And I'm telling you, an ozonics is worth its weight in gold. To be able to help you eliminate your odor and get you closer to those animals, that's what it's all about. I think the other thing to mention that really gets overlooked when it comes to elk hunting with an ozonics is the DriWash bag. We're out there, we're really, really putting in a lot of effort and we're sweating. And that odor can start to really adversely affect the hunt because you just can't get away from it. All of a sudden when that bull circles downwind, you can smell yourself, he can really smell you. And that's where I think the Ozonics DriWash bag becomes such a powerful tool because it can be there to help eliminate that odor in your clothing during every aspect and throughout the course of your hunt to help you get back to neutral. I think when it boils down to it, you really just need to understand that Ozonics is an entire scent elimination system that can help you on your next elk hunt in every aspect of the hunt. Thanks for watching our video today on how to elk hunt with your Ozonics. If you have any more questions, give us a call at 979-285-2401 or check out our website at ozonicshunting.com. Thanks again and good luck out there.